Columbia, NYU, and so on, including next door at the University of Pennsylvania. So we've been discussing at TUGSA a lot about what it means to be a graduate employee union, and what our relation is to other faculty unions on campus. Temple obviously has TAUP. Some places there is a graduate employee union without a faculty union, so what does that mean? And it's interesting, at places where, like Temple, where the faculty are unionized, we see that there's a lot more collaboration, that there's a lot more willingness to share ideas, to understand how the university functions. Particularly this past year, we were grappling with a new system of financial management that the university has put into place, which may be at some of your institutions, called Responsible Centered Management, RCM for short, and how that affects both not just graduate employees, but also affects adjuncts, also affects part-timers, also affects even tenure track. Especially when a tenure track faculty retires, that line often isn't renewed, and it sort of, everybody falls down the ladder. So when we think about what it means to be a graduate employee union, we're not just thinking about graduate employees only, we're thinking about what it means to be a part of the larger community. For many of our folks, this is the first time that they've been in a union. Some of them are coming, as you know, straight out of undergraduate institutions and into grad school. Some of them have worked in other places, but sometimes those places don't have labor unions. I came from K-12, and both institutions that I worked at were not unionized. One was a charter school and one was a private school. And so for a lot of individuals in our bargaining unit, it's understanding, well, what is collective bargaining? How does that work? What's a union? What can we do? What can't we do? What does it mean? What does membership mean? Why is it important? And those are things that I think are transferable as lessons across the board, from not just graduate employees, but adjuncts, part-timers, anybody who's in a precarious situation and trying to understand where do they fit in the union world, and what can a union do for them, and what can they do for their union. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to...
Thanks, Ethan. Thanks, Wendy. It's an honor to be at this table. I love these people. I love this room. So we get to do things together. We get to build power together. So that's what I love about doing this work. So I'm going to speak as a member and an activist with United Academics of Philadelphia. I also teach here at Temple, and I'm in leadership now at TIUP as an adjunct. But here in Philadelphia, we have essentially what's an organizing project at the moment. That we're in the process of becoming a local with multiple bargaining units. So United Academics of Philadelphia was sort of developed around the time that adjuncts here at Temple were fighting for union recognition, and ended up becoming part of TAUP. There was another possible outcome, which is that the adjuncts would have been their own bargaining unit, and that would have been the first bargaining unit of the citywide umbrella local. The labor board ruled that the adjuncts should join the full-timers union here, which, as Wendy already spoke to, has its opportunities and its challenges. And so UAP now is continuing to, basically our project is to build new bargaining units for adjuncts at any school in the Philadelphia region that doesn't already have a union for contingent faculty. So there are about 50 schools in the Philadelphia region, and we have a 30-mile radius that we work within. We have UAP members at 48 schools. It's kind of a two-pronged structure. And it's unusual, so I'm going to take a minute to just describe it. So part of what we do is we work with adjuncts at schools that don't have unions to build new campaigns. So this is new organizing, where we're having conversations with adjuncts about what their working conditions are, what their issues are, what they want to see changed. And then we basically build power by developing activists, building an organizing committee, and going through the labor board election process to build a bargaining unit. So we were part of the support structure for Temple adjuncts to do that. And then the next project that we worked on was at Arcadia University. And so at Arcadia, we ran a campaign, not this past academic year, but the year before, working with adjuncts at Arcadia to identify their issues and build a election campaign there. And so adjuncts at Arcadia won their union in April 2017. It was a wonderful, beautiful event. It was really exciting. And part of the cool thing about our model is that many of the adjuncts here who are members of UAP got to go to Arcadia and have conversations with other adjuncts at that campus. So those of us even who don't teach at Arcadia could go and help build power with our colleagues at a school that we don't necessarily teach at, and go to people in their classrooms and say, hey, I don't teach here, but I teach at these other schools, and I know what the working conditions are. You probably have some similarities, we have some differences. Let's talk about what those are. And here's an opportunity. Here's what we get to do. Here's what you get to do here on this campus. So Arcadia is the first bargaining unit of the UAP umbrella structure, and now we're continuing to repeat that process. So now we're sort of entering the stage of UAP where there's going to be multiple things happening at once, right? So we won their campaign in Arcadia. Now Arcadia adjuncts are bargaining for their first contract, and we're building a pressure campaign there. The red flyers, posters over there, some of the posters we've been putting up around campus at Arcadia. It's been over a year now since Arcadia adjuncts won their election, still bargaining. Why don't we have a contract yet? The administration is really slow, what do you call it? Slow balling, that's not a word, but moving the process very slowly.
Stonewalling.
What's that?
Stonewalling.
Stonewalling. They're dragging their feet as much as they can. So there's bargaining happening in Arcadia, and now we're also beginning those first stages of having conversations with adjuncts at other schools that we are identifying as potential new campaigns. So that's sort of the two things. The third thing that goes on with UAP is that any academic from any university in any track in the Philadelphia region can join UAP as a non-bargaining member. And so this is a group ask, actually, right now. Any of you can join UAP. I'll say a little bit more about it at the end. But it's a way for us to build community, build solidarity, build awareness among adjuncts at schools where we're not quite ready to run a campaign yet. But it's a way for people to actually join AFT as a national union before they actually even have a bargaining unit, before they have representation. And so it's a little bit of a guild model in some ways. We're trying to offer resources, support adjuncts around issues that matter to them, help adjuncts get jobs. We have a number of members already who've gotten classes at other schools that they hadn't taught at before through their relationships that they've built within UAP as non-bargaining members. The other thing that non-bargaining membership does that I'm really excited about and involved with right now is that it basically gives us a base of potential new activists. So any UAP member at any school is somebody that we can consider as somebody who can basically build as an activist, help them understand what organizing looks like, what an organizing conversation is, so that we have people ready on the ground at all these different schools so that when the time comes for us to run a campaign there, we have people who know what that's going to look like, what it's going to take. They're already ready for understanding what the administration is going to come at us with. They've been inoculated for a long time before about what it looks like when we start a campaign, what we're going to hear from administration. And it also just helps adjuncts who are just incredibly isolated, right? And so it really helps people understand, okay, the issues that I'm dealing with at my school are not particular to me, they're not particular to my department, they're not particular to my university. These are issues across the region. And so we're also looking to then be able to build some power regionally, and we're raising the bar at every institution across the region. Every time we win something at one school, it's going to raise the bar across the region. So that's sort of the model we have right now. We're working on writing our constitution right now, which is exciting, and it's a structure that's going to allow us to organize any group of contingent faculty and staff at any university in the region. Thank you, Zoe.
Hi, how's everybody doing? I'm Tyler. I'm here from Chicago. So my union is the University Professionals of Illinois, and my local has in it adjuncts, NTTs, and tenure track folks. So that's not always easy. I want to talk a little bit